Very few of these fly in the world that came out of the factory with a Franklin 4-cylinder horizontally opposed air-cooled engine. Our second airplane take there is an L-16 being flown by Mr. Ross Land this afternoon. Number 3 coming off the ground is an L-2, that's a Taylorcraft aircraft being flown by John Martin. Following John is another L-2 aircraft, liaison aircraft being flown by Mr. Court Dunn. These two L-16s taking up that one close to us. That's being flown by Mr. Steve Newer. The one on the far side is Mr. Tony Markle flying the airplane. And look at the airplane flying close to us. We call that the flying amoeba. If you take a look at the paint scheme, it looks like an amoeba coming by. And yes, that was a factory's paint scheme during World War II. The airplane was painted in a camouflage style paint job.
Are not going to be able to justify.
Now the L-16, again, all these airplanes are liaison aircraft. If you have to watch any of the old footage of History Channel back during World War II, you saw the D-Day invasion. You saw the troops carrying a fuselage of an airplane up on the beach. That might have been an L-4 aircraft, but Piper could have been an L-16 or an L-2 out there, an L-3 possibly even. Carrying the fuselage in on the shore. Much more guys carrying the wings. They would assemble the airplane on the beachfront and fly it off the beach. It was a forward observer airplane at the time during World War II. All these airplanes, except for our L-6 Cadet Flying Force sector, were powered by Continental 4-cylinder horizontally opposed air-cooled engine, cranking out a whopping 65 horsepower. And that's at about 23,000.
Yeah, Oscar Hager, that's a very good line for the Warbirds.
Not 23,000. These are all tandem seat aircraft. Most of the airplanes, the L-16, L-2s, the rear part of the fuselage of the aircraft is all plexiglass. There's a reason for that. The observation airplane. The observer would sit in the back of the aircraft, and not so much a seat as it was a bar stool back there. It was a full swiveling 360-degree seat. You could pivot yourself around the back of the airplane to check the troops out, find out where the enemy is hiding behind the tree line out there. They would fly the airplane back. They tell the pilot on board, take a left over here. This airplane coming by right now being flown by Mr. John Martin, this L-2. This aircraft did win the best Warbird L category in Oshkosh, Wisconsin several years ago. That's last year. Who here, put your hand up, has ever been to Oshkosh, Wisconsin? The biggest air show in the world. 2 people. Okay, but you people know what goes on out there. It is the mecca of aviation. It goes on about the last week of July and first part of August every year. At Oshkosh Whitman Field in Wisconsin, and I tell you folks, at no time will you ever see a piece of paper trash on the ground. Let's see if we can do the same thing here at Thunderbolt Raceway. You see a piece of paper, no big deal, pick it up, deposit garbage cans you walk by this afternoon. Makes a cleanup crew's job a whole lot easier if you all go home today. Now these little L-birds are very maneuverable aircraft, the top speed of about 100 miles an hour on most of them. It wasn't built for speed. This is Steve Newer and Tony Markle coming by right now. Steve Newer's flying our Amoeba L-16 aircraft, and Tony's flying one of the Silverbirds closest to it. Now you notice this bird flying by right now, the white and black stripes, they are the normally D-Day invasion stripes on the aircraft. They're there for a reason. Identify the aircraft as friendly. You didn't want to be taking ground fire from your friends on the ground, firing at your airplane, not knowing who was up there. They put the 5 stripes. The 3 white, the 2 black stripes, that's the normally D-Day invasion stripes on the aircraft. You'll see most of the Warbirds will have them on also. Now some of the airplanes, the L-2 being flown by John Martin this afternoon. Now John bases his airplane up at New Garden Airport in Pennsylvania. Tough Kennebec Lake. It came out of the factory with spoilers on the top wing of the aircraft. And they do exactly what the word says. They spoil the lift on the wing. The pilot will reach up, upper left-hand corner of the windshield, pull the lever down to deploy the spoilers up on the top of the wing. It would break the lift on the wing. The airplane could land very, very short. Very few airplanes, I think, actually you have to wire down to handle most aircraft now. The FAA says you can't have them active because people do some dumb things every now and then. Now, what'd this handle do? Now Steve and Tony come by with their aircraft. They're from South Delaware at Georgetown Airport. These airplanes, I think, are based very close to that down there. But these guys always like to fly formation. They are formation qualified to fly like this. We got Steve Miller flying lead and Tony Markle's flying on his right wing. Now, only thing Tony's looking at is Steve right now. He's watching what Steve does. Now the L6 being flown by Jimmy Deere coming by right now. Again, with that Franklin engine on board, he's got a little more horsepower than the rest of them. Fairly fast airplane. This is from the American Air Power Heritage Flight Museum, maintained by the Delaware Valley Wing of the Commemorative Air Force. This is Mr. Russ Lamb flying his L-16. These L-birds, you can classify as a poor man's warbird. Yes, they are warbirds. They did see active duty. Maybe not all these aircraft saw active duty, but some were active service combat aircraft. A lot of them, the L-16 flyby, that's a champ, basically. The L-16 became a champ. After the war, a lot of guys have reconverted their champs back to the L-16 style aircraft to make it warbird status. Now, John Martin's L2 coming back to speak. Again, being the Oshkosh Award winner, it was all the way back to original. That aircraft has all of the original equipment inside it, the radios, the seating, the decals, the placards. The medicine kit on board is original, not to that airplane, but it's original for that time period. That's what makes it an Oshkosh Award winner. This being an air show at the airport right now, we do own the airspace in a 3 nautical mile radius to center of the airport up to 5,000 feet this afternoon. So there should not be any other airplanes flying through this airspace anytime this afternoon, except the ones you see launch off this runway today. If you come through and you land at the airport and don't talk to anybody, you better have a burnt wire on board to make an emergency landing.
Over, we this time are flying normal pattern and the first of them off the foot.
they do is they publish.
And Albert number 2, to land runway 10, wind 050 at 2. Albert number 2,